What is up, everyone? It's Joe here. And before we jump into the episode, I wanted to give a little bit of a disclaimer. Now, I met with the incredible Jo-Ellice Flint, who is a early stage breast cancer thriver who's doing incredible things in creating spaces for people to share their stories, as well as running retreats, healing retreats, not just nationally, but internationally. And it was an amazing episode. She gave so many valuable, insights and gold nuggets, especially for those who are newly diagnosed on their breast cancer journey. So I encourage you all to listen to this episode. Unfortunately, my microphone was turned a little bit too loud, and at parts, it was almost unbearable to listen to. So we've done our best to change that and make it, easier on the ears. So if you can bear through that, there is so much value on this episode. So stay tuned and let's go.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Thrive Nation podcast. My name is Joe Tuimavave, and here on this podcast, we share stories from incredible people who have chosen to take control of their lives and defy their diagnosis in the hopes of inspiring others to do the same. Today, I am joined by Jo-Ellice Flint, a early stage breast cancer thriver who is doing incredible things. What are we going to talk about today?
We are going to touch on the journey. We're going to touch on how people can not let cancer come into their lives and thrive regardless. But we're also going to share some things that I found really helpful in my own diagnosis and setting me on this new path of self-discovery and loving life again.
Awesome. So stay tuned, everyone. No matter where you are, no matter when you are, thank you for being here today. Let's get into the episode.
Hey.
Hi, so we have Joe and Joe.
Joe.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is actually the first time we've met in person.
Yeah.
Like, we've known of each other through a mutual friend. I'm excited to have you here on the podcast because, as you know, this is aimed at inspiring people, sharing people's stories of how they've overcome their own diagnosis and being an inspiration for other people so that they can see, here's an example of someone who's going through what I've gone through and done all of these incredible things and had this outcome. So why can't I do that too?
Yeah, love that. Here for it.
I'm so grateful that you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. How have you been? What's going on in your world?
Lots of new exciting things. 2026 started off with some amazing momentum. Last year was really great as well. I'm keen to see what unfolds for 2026. Yeah, exciting projects as well as an evolution of my business.
What business is that?
I have a full service brand and experience agency called Madam Republic. I started 14 years ago after working in a lot of the big brand agencies. And last year, after downsizing, I decided to really focus on what I wanted to align with, and that meant some reassessing strategies and looking at ways I could essentially use what I've learned over the last 7 years since my diagnosis to help others.
Yeah, that's excellent. So you've spoken a little bit about I guess you just mentioned your diagnosis. What diagnosis exactly was that?
So in 2019, I turned 40 and I went off for my first routine mammogram. I felt like all women should. We need these sort of regular tests that give us peace of mind, but also can be a check-in. And I went off and had my first routine mammogram, and unfortunately, they found a spot on my left breast and called me back for more screening, which is very routine. A lot of women do have, after their first mammogram, if something's seen, they'll be asked to come back and often to somewhere else that has some more in-depth machines and ways that they can look further into it. So I went off and had that second screening, and it was confirmed after a biopsy that I had early stages of breast cancer. It was ductal cell carcinoma in situ, which means that the cancer is still contained within the milk duct.
Okay. So the milk duct is pretty small, right? So how big are we looking?
On the mammogram report and that photo, it looked like a grain of sand.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's,
that tiny.
and they can still say, okay, this is, obviously that's very early stages.
Yeah.
And they can still biopsy that?
Yeah, so it comes up as calcification flat.
Yep.
And sometimes it can be benign, but in my case, they did want a biopsy. And it was from that biopsy that they sent it away. It came back, and then they called me and asked me to come back
Yeah.
for the results, which was interesting because I wasn't afraid. And I rang a friend of mine who'd gone through an earlier journey and was sharing the news with her, and
Yep.
she asked if my husband was coming, and I said, well, no, Dan's working and I'm just going back. And she offered to come with me. So she knew that I might be receiving news that I wasn't otherwise thinking I would get. And as it turns out, it was confirmed that I had early stage breast cancer, that it was the best type to have because it's so early stage that there are a whole lot of treatments that are then made available to you.
Yep.
So that was reassuring, but not less confusing. Does it soften the blow?
No.
You're still very much thinking, am I going to be here to see my kids grow up?
That's definitely the first thing that happens. I know for myself, and they do say this is a common thing, especially there is a type C cancer prone personality type that overgive, that put people before themselves. And the very first thing that a lot of people who are diagnosed with cancer, the first thought that they think of is not, I'm going to die, but what about my kids? What about everyone else? And it's such a common theme that you hear from people when they're diagnosed. So just to hear you say that just confirms exactly that there is this C-type cancer-prone personality. The biopsy is interesting because, like, I always think if they're going to take a biopsy, they might as well remove the whole thing, especially if it's something that small.
Yes, I do feel after what I know about biopsies now, I wish I had watched and waited.
Okay.
Information emerged the more digging I did after my diagnosis, and the research that I did with biopsies in it potentially causing it to spread actually then informed some feelings that I had, because after my first treatment, which I decided to have a lumpectomy, which is breast tissue conserving surgery, where they go in and they just remove that compromised piece. In my case, they missed the spot.
How do you miss a spot? Like, who's paying these doctors?
One job to do, right? That was confirmed because when they went in to remove it, the pathology that came back with that compromised tissue revealed nothing in the tissue. So when you're having breast tissue conserving surgery, as a woman, you're doing that because you don't want to be disfigured. You want to maintain some sort of balance. So to go in for another round was pretty terrifying, but it did give me 5 months where I was doing a lot more research around my diagnosis. I didn't have a choice but to go back and get it removed. But with it being so small, it isn't common that they miss it. But in my case, it was, in hindsight, an opportunity for me to do a lot more of that research. And in that time, it was recommended to me that I have radiation, which I declined, and did so because I feel like the risks for me outweighed the benefit. And what I can share is for women that are going down a similar path, when you have radiation on your breast, it can stop you from being able to have any sort of surgery in a reconstructive form in the future. So it can compromise all the tissue. So again, if I had to go and have any more surgery, I wanted to ensure that nothing was getting in that way.
And I guess that's such an important part of a woman's identity as well. Like, already you're having the lumpectomy where they're taking tissue out to try to preserve the rest of the breast. And so you already have this attachment to your body of like you said, like you don't want to be disfigured. You want to love your body.
Yes.
You want to be proud of your body. And so there's almost this mourning of loss
Yes.
of a part of yourself.
Yeah.
So having radiation, which can then further impact that.
Yeah.
What would your recommendation be for someone who, I guess, faces a similar diagnosis like that early stage and they're given those options?
Yeah, so in my case, being a DCIS diagnosis, I would definitely recommend actively monitoring before a biopsy.
Yeah.
And the reason I feel very strongly about this is after my second lumpectomy, I wanted to actively monitor. Well, they do actively monitor beyond your surgeries in case it comes back.
Yeah.
And in my case, they found more spots towards the back of my chest wall.
Oh, okay.
Which I feel like the biopsy caused the cells to seed and spread.
Yeah.
And because of the area that this was now potentially growing, it meant that I didn't have much choice other than to remove my breast entirely, my left breast entirely, or the other treatment options I could then consider were double mastectomy with reconstruction or the double mastectomy without any reconstruction. So in hindsight, if I'd actively monitored, see if that spot of sand had grown, I would have then looked at potentially surgeries, and surgery would have been the next sort of step. But with what I know now about diet and fasting, all these things that I do now, I really do feel that our bodies are designed to heal ourselves.
Yeah, that's such a valid point. Our bodies, especially because I'm a big faster myself, I'm currently still on treatment, and I do 3-day fasts before every one of my treatments because I want my body to be in the best condition it can be, where it's in a state of autophagy, cleaning out toxins, boosting my immune system, and when it receives its treatment, it's like this is the ideal environment for it to heal itself. And it's interesting when you bring up the point about the biopsy and how there are so many cases, we hear these cases of people who feel that the biopsies actually, it's like sending a missile into a tumor and then having that tumor and seed, like you said, and spread.
100%. And it's exactly that. It's a projectile that is designed to take the sample and then vacuum it out.
Yeah.
However, something that I can add to that was 5 years earlier, I had a ovarian tumor on my right ovary.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Tumor on an ovary. Part of the keyhole surgery process is they have a bag that when they do the biopsy, it contains anything that leaks out so it doesn't go into your uterus.
Yeah.
So I find that really interesting that they want to contain something that could spill out into other areas of someone's body. But with a breast biopsy or some other biopsies, there's no containment.
Stick the needle in and
so
any residual whatever is just...
Yeah. So I do encourage people, women and men. I mean, there are small cases of breast cancer in men, but just to do some research around that. And when you do go and get your second screening, and they often will get you to sign a waiver that if they are wanting a biopsy that you'll consent to that in that second screening. If it was me again, I would have had that screening and then I would ask to see the results and probably get a second opinion.
Yeah, a second and third opinions are so important.
So important. So important.
Do you ever feel like this was something that could happen to you? Because obviously you're a very fit person. Like, what was it like growing up, and were there any signs or anything that kind of led to this?
So I was adopted. So one thing I didn't have was history, and my mum, Jackie, that adopted me, she actually had a breast cancer diagnosis that was not genetic, that I grew up and experienced that through my mother's eyes. So when I, at 40, went to go get my routine mammogram, for me, I didn't have that background
Okay.
So I guess I was slightly, no, I wasn't worried about not having the history, but the fact that my mum had non-genetic breast cancer showed me that anyone can get it. Growing up, my childhood was so happy. I was so blessed. I did a lot of sports.
Yeah.
I was a swimmer, athlete. I played water polo for Australia.
Oh, wow.
And I continued
Yeah.
to be athletic my whole life. So when I got diagnosed, I just felt this simply could not happen to me.
Yeah.
And I was the fittest. I was competing. It just felt so utterly deflating.
It would feel unfair
I was
almost.
bitter for a little bit. Just how did this happen to me?
Yeah, I can totally resonate with that because I was playing football right up until I got diagnosed 2 weeks before my 40th. And I remember my uncle having my cousin saying, "Look at Joe. He plays sports. He's healthy, and he's the one who gets cancer." So it's like you said, it
shouldn't
can happen to
Yeah,
anyone.
it can happen to anyone. Yeah.
1 in 2 people will be diagnosed in their lives. So it can be anyone.
Yeah. Well, on reflection, I had this like tumor on my ovary. I had a skin cancer. Like I had cancer, or there were situations where I faced potential diagnosis, but it just didn't come until I was sort of 40. So, you know, on reflection, I feel like at some point it was my destiny to be diagnosed, and it was something that I now feel was one of the greatest gifts that I ever had.
Yeah.
To really align me to what was important, to take a good sort of look at not the why it happened to me, but like why not?
Yeah.
And
That's
like
such a great attitude to have.
get on with what I was essentially here to do. And that's been my whole shift for the last 7 years. It's been really an opportunity to me to go down this wonderful path of spirituality, which I was on before. It just had to come in this new way to help me get out of my head, which when you've been diagnosed and you go through the treatments and you get the all clear, you still hold on to that emotional trauma. You hold on to a fear of it coming back.
Anxiety.
I really found that going on retreats as well as exploring new ways of finding peace, whether that's daily practice or things like kinesiology, crystal healing, energy healing, they're all things that I'm just so much more open to exploring. And I don't have those feelings that used to really control my day-to-day life. When I was going through treatment, my treatment wasn't a year. I had 4 years of regular screenings, biopsies. I had 4 surgeries, and it was over COVID. So
oh, that would have been even harder.
it was a pretty wild time. I was really lucky that I was able to have my husband and children visit me in hospital, but there were other women or other people at the time that were going in for their first surgeries that couldn't have their husbands go into a doctor's appointment, let alone I was with someone supporting them for 7 days where they couldn't have any family in their hospital.
Yeah.
It's beautiful how community rallies on you, and
it's such an important part to have that support. And I love the outlook that you had, that why not, why not me? Because it's put you on this path of what you are doing now. And I find that so many people on this journey, especially those who have taken control of their diagnosis and have learned to look at it for what it is, not some sort of tragic punishment, but as an opportunity to learn about themselves and to grow and to then share. Like, I can see that in your journey, and you've spoken about retreats and some of the things that the daily practices that you were doing. Were you doing these things during your treatment as well?
Yes. Where I could. COVID made it a little bit difficult. I just became a sponge of personal development and growth. And I was really lucky that by being open, the right people at the right time were coming into my frequency. It's that whole...
There's no such thing as a coincidence.
Nah. So putting it out there and being open lets the light come in at a dark time, and people that are there to help you, you'll find.
So what are you doing now? Now, after on the other side of this journey, everything that you've learned, if you just want to share what you're doing now.
So I have a business, a full service brand agency. I help businesses show up in the world. Over the last 12 months, I've been re-looking at what I offer as a business, and experiences have come into the Madam Republic. Part of what we offer now is retreat experiences.
Yep.
So I really want to bring unique experiences to people that they would otherwise not have, especially in the business world. I noticed that a lot of women were not going to these private dining rooms in restaurants. It was very much a man's world. And I thought, hey, if we're not getting invited, I'm going to create this for myself. I'm really passionate about addict to plate storytelling. I do a lot of that in my business. So working with chefs and curating menus and creating experiences that are once in a lifetime for people is something that I really love doing. To see the joy, to see the connection, whether it's connection for sharing ideas or business partnerships, that's something that naturally happens in that environment. But the retreats and being able to hold space for people, whether they're at a time in their lives of needing change, for the mother or for the father that just doesn't give themselves a bit of a break. Retreat experience is something that I want to be able to, give to people that help them reassess not only where they're at now, but to give them some sort of like clarity and reignite a passion for that purpose piece of what's ahead.
When is the next retreat?
My first international retreat I'm hosting in Bali in August, an amazing resort in Bali in the heart of Ubud called Soulshine. It's a mixture of my favorite spiritual practices, but a whole lot of fun as well. It's at a 5-star luxury resort that's founded on wellness as well as music. So it's for someone that wants to immerse themselves into Bali culture, but have an experience within an environment that has just been built for healing, built for getting out of your head, coming back to yourself. If you want a massage, you can have a massage. If you want to do yoga, you can do yoga. We've got some excursions where we're going to do some shamanic breathwork journey.
Yeah, love breathwork.
At Pyramids of Chi, we're visiting the Sabatu water temple for a water purification ceremony that will be facilitated by a shamanic elder.
Yeah, that's amazing. The healing experience, because I know on this journey for myself, retreats become such an important part of that healing journey. I went over to Perth where I met Marcel Hoff, Wim Hof's brother, and I experienced my first ever breathwork session. Where when I went in, I was surrounded by this white light, and all I felt was just this love. This love, and it was a healing love. I spoke to Marcel afterwards, and I said, I don't know what I experienced, and he said, we are all children of the divine, we're children of God, and when you go within and you touch that divine spark is healing feeling, it's love, it's gratitude, it's all of those things, and we became obsessed to the point that we started our own breathwork business where people have these journeys. When you are diagnosed, it's a journey. It's not just a physical journey. It's not just a de-stressing mental journey. There's a spiritual component to it as well.
100%.
And I love the fact that you're bringing this space to people and that they can come to your retreat and experience all of these things. You also talk about music as well.
So music's been a big part of my life. I'm one of those people that if there's a DJ coming or if there's some sort of festival, I'm there. Ever since I was able to go to festivals and go to these live DJ sets, the euphoria and the connection and being in an environment where people are just dancing like no one's watching, I just feel like it's an experience that there's not much that compares. And Soulshine is a wellness and music resort founded by musician Michael Franti and his wife. So the foundation of Soulshine is very much around music and DJs and rock. And the word retreat, people sort of perceive it to be, I'm not needing healing, or I haven't gone through anything where I need to. A retreat is for everyone.
Yeah.
Whatever you're looking for. It's a holiday to get out of your head. And some retreats are obviously designed around a certain, whether it's a silent retreat, a meditation retreat, yoga. But with my retreat, it's really a holiday to visit Bali, to be within a safe space with 16 other humans that all come from different walks of life, that are arriving to just see what magic can come out of it. And I just feel so strongly about they shouldn't be waiting for that cancer moment to change their life. They shouldn't be waiting for that dark time to sort of be the catalyst for them to do what we've had access to through that diagnosis. Everyone should be on a journey of self-discovery and healing. They're prepping their body and that environment for that disease to really possibly not. I mean, I'm a big believer in Louise Hay's work, Dolores Cannon's work, human design. This sort of idea that emotions can manifest. There's evidence to suggest that if you've been through something and you're just looking to show up and get the healing, you'll get the healing. But as you know, when you show up, the intention that you set could be that you're just there to relax.
And that's implied in the word too, retreat, because the retreat is to step back. And we have such busy lives where we're constantly worrying about getting to work on time, getting the kids ready for school, a bill coming in. Is someone going to like my post?
It's wild, right?
So to retreat is to just look at yourself and just be.
As humans, we weren't designed to do what we're doing. We were designed for, the men would go off and hunt, the women were in the village. It was all about community and how that integration and flow happened within villages. It wasn't like what we're trying to engineer as a human race now. Women, women working, we're all slaves to this,
machine or whatever you want to call it. Actually, I heard something about we've turned into human doings rather than human beings. We're constantly doing something. We're either working or we're trying to be the best person for a million other people, and we're so task orientated that we stop being. We need to get back to just being human beings rather than human 100%. Doings.
And the phone, it's like no distraction. Like, don't scroll your life away. Be in that Instagram moment where you are sitting there by the pool and reimagining what next week looks like without the chaos of the to-do list. It's all about here for. What are you really here for?
And I love that you touched on before human design and how I've done a little bit of human design and just how understanding how our bodies, I don't know whether naturally is the right word, but how or best places for us to like environment or how we make our decisions or like the food or how we. Can you able to like just give a little bit more of an explanation on human design?
So human design has come back into my life after a few years, and I'm actually studying it now. I'm going to be certified in June. But what I love about this idea of human design, it's this beautiful synthesis of astrology, chakras, I Ching, all of this like beautiful information and data sets based on your date of birth, the location you were born and time that you were born, a blueprint to how you're essentially wired and how you can better show up in the world through these energy types. There are 5 different energy types, and in identifying the type of whether you're a generator, a reflector, or a projector, it really can inform the way that you approach certain situations. It's how you, I guess, put energy into something whether that's designed for you.
Yeah.
This blueprint really shows and informs, essentially a new direction for you. And in my business, in being a brand strategist, my role for the last 20 years in life's work has been around developing brand blueprints. So this is for me a way of seeing it as a human and helping people understand why they're feeling a certain way or how they react to certain situations, why they're triggered by this. In the recent few weeks that I've been finding out about my own has been an absolute game changer.
So what category do you fall under?
I'm a emotional projector. So something that a projector needs to be conscious of is projectors are very good at wanting to share, wanting to lead, wanting to be sort of there helping others. But in doing that, sometimes we can be too much for other energy types where we can become repelling. So the strategy for a projector is waiting for the invitation.
Okay.
So instead of it's just sitting back and aligning and waiting for that. And it's extraordinary just consciously knowing that what has happened in my life in the last sort of 3 weeks.
Have you noticed that sort of pattern where as a projector you've almost like tried to force something and it hasn't worked out and then you're like, oh, that's why it hasn't worked out.
So it's a great tool, I feel, for like parents that are wanting to understand their kids, how they're wired. It's great for couples understanding what that like dynamic is like. It's great just for knowing ourselves, how we can align it more to like if we're feeling a little bit lost or how that can help inform our future direction, whether it's in a career or, you know, there's some energy types that need a full 28 days, like the reflector which it just sounds but the science behind it, undeniable. It's something that these things have been around for 85,000 years. And
I know for myself, being a time-bending manifesting generator, whenever I feel inspired and I take action, I collapse time to make it happen faster. I have these moments where I'm just in a lull and I don't know what I'm doing. And if I don't have a system or some sort of plan, I'm just chaotic. I'm unmotivated. I'm trying to force things that don't align with myself. And I find that whenever like things that have happened in my past, if they don't align with your, I guess, human design, they can manifest in something that's almost like a chronic illness.
100%. I do believe that. There's nothing that these charts can't not help. I just feel like being able to help people see that in a new way where they can be softer with those moments of those feelings that they're not sure where they're coming from. Psychologically, that's a bit of a buffer. You're giving yourself that opportunity to have the space to think about what you need to do or be softer on yourself or inspire some new direction. It can do that for you as well.
And I think it'll be understanding your own human design as well can help you on your healing because it'll give you clarity on decisions that you need to make. Like you said, the projector might need 28 days instead of saying, you're going to need a biopsy next week. And we're like, I'm going to wait 28 days.
100%. And the other thing with that, it's really important for people when they are waiting for results or needing to make a decision on that treatment, that a few days or even weeks is not going to make any difference. When they missed my spot the first time, I waited 5 months and nothing changed. So that should also give people reassurance that if there's something there that is a grain of sand, for that to grow into something that is a mutation that turns into a tumor. And just so people understand, to go from something in situ and contained to becoming a mutation and a tumor, that is a very long process to happen.
That's some good advice there. Thanks for sharing. This has been great. What advice would you give to someone who's just started on their journey? We've got a lot of listeners here, and a lot of them, you said, with breast cancer, you had one of the most I guess,
Better.
first ones. Yeah, I've actually heard that with testicular cancer as well. Like if you're a man and you get cancer, testicular cancer is the best cancer you got because 99% of those diagnosed him. But what would your advice be for someone who's just newly been diagnosed? Like, what are three things that you feel are such important things that they should consider?
Yeah. So first thing would be to remember that we are the ambassadors of our body. And so all of, our path and our treatments are things that we decide on, and don't let fear be the reason of why you might be doing something. And what really helped me was research. So I would join groups on Facebook that were women that were treating breast cancer naturally, but then also the conventional way.
Yep.
And I would look at posts with women that had similar diagnoses to me, and I'd be reading comments. I'd be actually contacting women, private messaging them, sharing my similar situation. And I just found that really helped me not only not feel alone, but informed, and helped me not think ahead about worst case scenario. I was actually in real time talking to people that had a similar diagnosis. The other thing was, when you receive your reports from your surgeons, look at what some of that wording actually means.
Yeah.
It's very easy to feel like I'm not smart enough to know what this is. But again, the more you know, the more that you can prepare for looking at alternative ways to treat, or even getting a second opinion.
Yeah, second opinion. Definitely.
Yeah. The other thing is exercise, diet, all those things that we were doing right before that helps you mentally, but also physically. And yes, I had to stop exercising while I was recovering from surgeries, but my body bounced back so quickly, just having that foundation of sort of wellness. Nutrition's obviously, that can be a whole other conversation. Just be really conscious of what you're eating, the water you're drinking, all of those.
They all compound.
Make such a big difference in how we feel, that vitality. That's all part of that, the end game of showing up in the world in our most optimized, high frequency self. The way that you show up in the world, if it's optimized and high vitality, you're only going to attract that back.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thank you for that. Thank you for coming onto this podcast. It's been awesome having you, sharing your story, and I love the fact that you've turned what most people would call an obstacle into an opportunity, into purpose. And now you're out there. Hopefully those of you who have listened to this podcast can see that here is this incredible woman who's doing amazing things, who's overcome something that most people will feel defeated and be unsure of. And I hope that you are able to take something away from that. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh God.
Where can people find you? Where can they contact you? How can they contact you?
So you can find me on socials. So Madam Republic Retreats. I've still got 6 spots. So if anyone would like to come to Bali in August, I would love to have you. You can also find me through madamrepublic.com.au. Check out the biz if you're a business owner or startup. Again, would love to help you on your journey of monetizing your passion. But yeah, thanks, Joe.
No worries. Thank you. And for everyone else out there, thank you for joining us. We will see you on the next episode of the Thrive Nation.